This is the Taino Case, the beginning of the exhibit Reimagining Columbus, Reimagining Columbus Day at the Haffenreffer Museum at Brown University. And the purpose of this exhibition is to discuss the people who Columbus met when he first came to the Americas. Those people are called the Taino, and they migrated from around the Americas in the 5,000 years before Columbus showed up in 1492. And it's interesting to see some of these objects because the faces that you see, for example, this face and the little faces on this trigonolith here, this little face over here, and this face on the spatula, these are all the faces of gods called zemis. And they're used in contemporary imagery that contemporary people who identify themselves as Taino they also use this imagery. These trigonoliths are sacred objects, or were sacred objects to the Taino. And it's interesting, this big one in particular, if you look at the side of it, you can see a little spot where a stalactite or a stalagmite from a cave would have been attached to it, and the maker removed this rock from the cave and then carved it. And then this little one, you can also see faces on it. This object here with the little seahorse-looking face might represent a seahorse, which might have to do with the seafaring nature of the Taino. And then next to that object, you can see a little bottle, a little spatula with a bird on it, and a little sort of snuff spoon. And these were all associated with the ritual taking of a drug called cahoba. And then the next objects are all body adornments. Those big round objects are stamps that are used to paint designs on the body. And then those little cylinders are earplugs, basically earrings. And then you have objects associated with the ball game. These are ceremonial versions of the ball game objects. So that yoke is meant to look like cloth that would have been used to make cloth or leather that would have been used to make the actual yoke that a player in this game would use. And then the last object here is a mortar and pestle that would have been used to grind the drugs for cahoba. This case represents some of the special collections at Brown. In the case, you can see objects from the stamp collection, which is one of the best stamp collections in the world. You can see objects from the military history collection, and these are all from the Hay Library here at Brown University. And these objects relate to the early celebrations of Christopher Columbus, which were really championed by groups in the United States, such as Italian Americans, Irish Americans, and Catholic Americans, who were marginalized and ostracized in society and looking for a way to claim their American identity. And they did so in part by connecting themselves to this figure of Christopher Columbus. So this case is about the resurgence of Native American identity in the United States. And basically coming out of the 1890s, around the turn of the century, most Americans believed that Native Americans were dying out and were pretty soon going to be extinct. And in fact, many came to believe that there were no more Native American communities. But that's obviously not true. We know today that Native American culture is very strong, and many different Native communities exist around the United States. So in here, what we're looking at is this handwritten piece of paper is sort of charter from the Indian Council of New England from 1923, where Native Americans are basically saying, we're here, we're still around, and we intend to reclaim this identity. And then on the right-hand side, those more contemporary objects speak to the ways in which Native culture persists, both incorporating traditional elements, like the way that pipe was made. It was made in a traditional manner, but it was made with contemporary materials, or the sneakers. The sneakers are a contemporary object, but they're beaded with traditional designs. So we want to combat this idea that Native Americans are sort of a people of the past and represent some past ideals as opposed to contemporary lives. So this case deals with the name change of Columbus Day to Fall Weekend in 2009. Basically what happened was student groups, including the Task Force for the Legacy of American Colonialism and Native Americans at Brown, lobbied to change the name because they believed that celebrating Columbus Day was offensive to Native Americans. And there were protests against that from the Italian American community, from the Irish American community in Providence, but ultimately the name change was made. And so what you're looking at is sort of the official documentation of that, the meeting minutes, the Brown Daily Herald, and the original petition that the students signed to get the name change.